Howdy y'all, I'm the Trash Bin, and welcome to a dang good game, my little retro review series, where I'll be taking a look at the games of yesteryear, and deciding whether or not they're still good, and whether or not they could have been released today. Our subject for review is 2006 Prey. Yep, that ambitious game that got squashed by Half-Life. Prey is a sci-fi, semi-horror, shooty McShoot similar to BioShock and Half-Life 2. Though it was released in July 2006, the game actually had a rocky development cycle starting in 1995. The technology at the time couldn't support the ideas of the dev team, and it stuck in development hell until the id Tech 4 engine came out in 2004. Now let me get on to reviewing the four elements of this game: the story, the sound design, the graphics, and the gameplay. Let's jump into the story. We follow Tommy, a Cherokee Army vet who, alongside his grandfather Anisi and girlfriend Jen, are taken aboard an alien vessel controlled by a being only known as the Sphere. Tommy rampages through the ship and embraces his cultural roots and kicks ass. My score for the story is a 6.5 out of 10. It's your classic chosen one that single-handedly destroys all the enemies, but it has some good twists and turns in it. For what it is, a shooty McShoot, it is extremely well paced up until the final two acts when everything becomes a little hectic. Now the sound design for this game is just amazing. Everything sounds like it should, everything has a nice thump to it. It looks and sounds like you would expect it to, like an alien ship would, like some of these alien weapons would. It just invokes that feeling. Nothing takes you out of immersion, and everything just enhances the experience. That's why I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Just fun to listen to, and just is great. The sound design team did a real good job here. On to the graphics. The atmosphere is creepy, gross, and makes you feel deeply uncomfortable. The textures, despite being a decade old, hold up very well and do their job. There's a great blend of technology and visceral organics that carries over to the enemies and the weapons as well, creating a truly disturbing setting that is sometimes a little too well rendered. The way the weapons look in this game is just so damn good. Their characters all on their own, with interesting idle animations and cool designs. Everything is thematically coherent and just looks great. I wouldn't have it any other way. The only two limitations on this game, however, are some of the human character models and the fact that you can't have a good screen resolution without screwing up everything on your computer. The best way to play it is in windowed, sadly. If you try and put it into full screen, it'll mess with all your icons. For my modern score, 7 out of 10, and a retro score of 8.6 out of 10. The game holds up extremely well for being 15 years old. The graphics still do their job well today. Very few games from this era hold up even half as well as Prey does. Now for the meat of the game, the gunplay. It's so creamy, it's so smooth, everything feels like it has a weight to it. It's responsive and very rewarding. This game just kills it with the gunplay. Throughout the game you get a few unique guns, all with their own personalities. The first thing you'll pick up is the tri-barreled rifle, a living death dealer, your absolute best friend. It has two firing modes, an assault rifle mode and a sniper mode, in which a tentacle rises up from the gun and attaches itself to your eye. It has the most common ammo type in the game, and you'll rarely be without it. Next is one of two guns that aren't alive, the leech gun, which doesn't have ammo lying around. Instead, the leech gun saps different kinds of energy from several different nodes, giving the gun grand variety, from red bubbles to lightning to solar beam. It's extremely interesting and completely unique to this game. Up next is the flying boy himself, the Crawler. Now here is a non-conventional grenade that's also the cutest thing in the whole world. You might be wondering, how do I use this little guy, this little friend, this little cute thing as a grenade? Well, you rip his legs off. you can rip his legs off in 2 different ways. You can rip all of them off and throw them as like a normal grenade, or just rip one of them off and use him like a landmine. But you don't want to. I don't want to. It hurts me every time I do it. Next is the autocannon, and in my opinion it's pretty uninteresting. It's very useful, with its primary fire being that of an LMG, and its secondary fire being a grenade lobber that doesn't fire crawlers for whatever reason, which is extremely disappointing. But it's the most useful towards the end of the game. Now for the second non-living gun, the shotgun, or well rather the acid sprayer. It functions like a shotgun, with its primary fire being a spread shot that can kill hunters in 1 hit. As its secondary fire, it shoots the canister out, dealing massive damage when it hits, and doing damage over time, as it leaves acid on the enemies. Did I hear you say that you loved the crawler? Well, me too. And I have good news for you. Introducing the launcher. It holds more crawlers. It does crazy amounts of damage. And, best of all, its alt fire will generate a shield blocking projectiles from coming at your face. I just don't want to know how those shields are made. I fear for my crawly boy's life. Now let's say you're not into all this gross stuff, nor the technology. Well, in the game, Tommy has a spirit walk form that allows him to solve puzzles with ease, but he also has a bow that he can shoot enemies with. This bow becomes integral when you die, because in this game, you don't die. You get sent into a small purgatory where you have to fight off evil spirits to regain health and regain spirit. Then you're thrust back into the game right where you left off. This also helps the game keep pace very well. You're never taken out of the action for too long, and the game never feels grindy because of it. While this game is primarily a shooty McShoot, like the 2 other games I mentioned earlier, it has its fair share of puzzles, all usually gravity-based and portal-based. This game has a fun physics engine to play around with, and it lends itself extremely well to the puzzles. However, there's an issue with this. The game would come up with a really cool idea and then never touch upon it again. This happened several times, and it makes me kinda sad. Beyond its shortcomings and near death at launch, the game was great then and pretty good now. That's why I'm giving it a retro score of 9 out of 10 and a modern score of 7.5 out of 10. It's a fun game, despite the weird character models and resolution problems. I recommend this game to anyone who loves first-person shooters. Pick it up somewhere, find it, just play it. And if you enjoyed this video, this sink of your time, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. I may do this again. Just don't hold your breath.